we can try. We're all very cute. We do our best, and it usually does not work out. Um, it doesn't work out, and sometimes it just complicates things even more. Um, so yes, so being misunderstood, it's I feel like is a very interesting topic because there's so many multiple layers to it. The first thing I would probably dive into is um, the idea of who we be and the image that we have created around who we're supposed to be.
Welcome to the Salt Podcast, where we talk about all things simple. Yep, simple anointed living tips. I'm your host, Jenny Pena. Alrighty, thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode with Kiran. Again, this is the second time that we record together, so thank you, Kiran, for joining me.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for taking time again. And for those of you who do not know, Kiran gave us her whole story in episode 2, where we talked about tools for ease. So if you want to learn more about her, you can check the episode notes, find all her links in episode 2. And in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about being misunderstood. But before we dive in, instead of asking you to tell us about yourself, since we already went through that, why don't you tell us what you've been up to lately?
Oh my goodness. As I mentioned to you earlier, Jenny, it feels like the entire world has changed since we last recorded the podcast, the first one. So since then, I have moved into my new home. We bought a condo, and we've spent the last month moving and all the fun stuff that's involved with owning a home. This is the first time both of us own a home. So, as I'm sure a lot of people know, thank you. So, as I'm sure a lot of people know, it can be a very overwhelming process. And then when you're trying to move and do all this kind of paperwork and furniture buying while there's restrictions and lockdowns in place, that adds another layer of, I don't know if it's the word is stress or overwhelm or adventure, but it definitely keeps things interesting.
Keeps you on your toes.
It really does. And it really forces you to get very creative with how to work around things and work with things as opposed to just getting super frustrated and annoyed. I mean, I have had my moments of being frustrated and annoyed, but we've made it through and we're in our home, and now we're just going to take our time unboxing and organizing and buying things as and when that we can. So that has been the highlight of my life for about the past month, I think.
Oh goodness. Well, I feel you because, we've moved plenty of times, but we've never moved into our own place. So I can't understand that whole, no. But we didn't own it. We started from scratch in UAE, but we didn't own it. So it's different.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for, losing it and staying in your ease, how you told us in the last recording we had. But yeah, when we've stayed in touch, but you're right, it does feel like so much has happened. And I asked you if we can record again because I was going through something with my husband, and I felt like I had to really dig deep. What am I feeling? And why am I feeling like this? And it was a feeling of being misunderstood and wanting, like, fighting to be understood, especially by someone that I love so much that I would think or expect for him to want to understand my side of the story or whatever the case may be. I'm not going to go into detail about it, but I feel so. I looked it up. I Googled it, and there was like a whole thing about it. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to ask Kiran about this. She's going to know. And sure enough, you were like, you know what? Let's just record another episode and we can talk about it. And I'm like, perfect, because I need it. And if I need it, I'm sure our listeners are like, yes, Let's talk
Oh my
about it.
gosh, yes. Yes. And it's funny you talk about this too, because recently I was dealing with family as well, and my family misunderstanding me. And especially when it's people we really care about, we do so much to try and not be misunderstood, um,
Mm,
which in turn then impacts sort of our sense of control, because we're trying to
mm-hmm.
control how someone perceives us. And
Oof,
that usually, yes.
that doesn't ever end well.
No, it really doesn't. I was just going to say, we can try. We're all very cute. We do our best, and it usually does not
Cute.
work out. Um,
Oh,
it doesn't work
funny.
out, and sometimes it just complicates things even more.
Mm,
So yes, so being misunderstood, it's I feel like is a very interesting topic because there's so many multiple layers to it. The first thing I would probably dive into is um, the idea of who we be and the image that we have created around who we're supposed to be. So,
mm,
we come into this world and we're told you're supposed to be this kind of a child to your parents. You're
mm,
supposed, also, let's say, since we're both women, to be like, this is the kind of daughter you're supposed to be. Or you're
mm.
supposed to sit, with your feet together and you eat with your mouth closed and you speak in a certain volume, you act in a certain way. So we're constantly told how we're supposed to be, which of course,
Mm.
especially as children, there are certain guidelines that children require. It's not just wild and free all the time. Um, but as we grow older too, that sort of translates into how we're supposed to carry ourselves in the world. And that is
Right.
kind of projected on us all the time. So even in relationships, we're constantly looking at, okay, what kind of a wife am I supposed to be? What kind of a
Mm.
mother am I supposed to be? What kind of a daughter am I supposed to be? And if our behavior, we say or do something that does not fit that image, it gets us super twisted,
Oh, yeah.
you know? So if
Mm-hmm.
I believe, I'm supposed to be a really responsible wife, and part of that responsibility is ensuring our home is always clean. Let's say that is something I believe in. So I have this image in my head of what a good wife looks like, and one of that is making sure our house is always clean. And if one fine day I'm just busy doing whatever I'm doing, and my husband comes and says, "Why is the room so dirty?" I'm
Oh,
immediately, yes, I'm assuming you have faced something similar.
oh, girl. Yes.
Right. So the second that happens, we immediately begin judging ourselves so harshly. And we immediately feel like this is some personal attack that has been placed on us by the one time that the room was not sparkling and shining clean.
Right. Exactly. You hit the
Right.
nail on the head,
Yeah.
woman.
And then that leads into now us feeling like we have to justify and validate why the room was not clean. So it's, well, I had this to
Right.
do, and then you wanted me to go pick up this food. I spent all the time doing that, but now you're saying the room is not clean. And we get into this sort of this bottomless pit, I guess, of this, I
Yeah.
can't get my words right now, of like conversation where we're just trying to justify and validate our actions. Where, what if we took a step back and said, okay, yeah, the room's not clean. I will get
My
to it
bad.
when I get to it. Yeah, I'll get to it when I get to it. And
You
if
know
it's
what I
something that's
also
really,
feel in that
yeah,
situation is like now he's perceiving me as lazy or not a
yes,
good mom or not a good wife, and now like now I need to redeem myself and make sure that he realizes why I'm not lazy and why I'm an
yes,
awesome mom and like I'm an
yes,
awesome wife, and it was because I was doing this, like how you said, like I was doing this,
yeah,
this, and this, you
yeah,
know. It's like,
yeah,
why is that necessary? Why do we feel like we have to even like make excuses or I don't know, like
yeah.
explain ourselves?
Exactly. Well, there's two parts to that. One is we are assuming, or you
Mm,
are assuming that that is what your husband thinks of you. All he did was ask
Mm-hmm.
a question. Or if it was me, all I did was be like, oh, the room's not looking so clean today. And then we go into this assumption of how they perceive us now that this has happened. And then we go in to try to prove that that is not true. So one, we start getting caught up in the whole right and wrong of things, which we talked about in the previous episode as well, about, oh, if the room is clean means it's right, but if it's dirty it means it's wrong. And the second we feel wrong, we're doing everything in our power to shift ourselves back to being right. But if there is no right and wrong, and it just is, then we don't feel the need to fight, to prove anything. And again, the proving is something we are that is again constantly projected on us. Prove that you're a good student in school. Prove that you're a good athlete. Prove that you are a good friend. How many friends have we had who said, "Oh, when I called you, you didn't answer, so you clearly don't care about me." Like, it sounds so ridiculous.
I know, yeah.
but we know that that is not true.
Yeah.
Just because you did not answer the phone when someone needed you doesn't mean you're intentionally saying, "Oh no, I'm going to ignore this call right now." You could be busy doing something. You could be having a hard day yourself. You could be in the bathroom. You could be outside. Your phone could be on silent. Like, there could be so many different things happening in that moment. But the second someone says to you, "Oh, you clearly don't care about me because you didn't answer my call," we now immediately start scrambling to say, "What do you mean? I was doing this. I would never do that to you. I can't believe you even think this way. Of course I care about you." And we immediately go into that, I have to now be right again. And I now have to prove how amazing a friend I am, without realizing that that is their perspective. And just because it's their perspective doesn't mean it's true.
And that's the hard part for me, because, and it reminds me of also the thing that we talked about in Tools for Ease. One of the tools that you gave was that whole, that's, oh gosh, interesting perspective.
Point of view.
That's your,
yes.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. And I've used it, but I think I need to be more mindful of it, because, like how you said last time, that we need to, like, the more that we use it and do it, the more it sticks. But that one's a difficult one for me, because especially when it's somebody close to you, you don't want them to have that perspective of you. That's not like me. So how do you deal with that? Like, okay, just that's their perspective. Interesting point of view. That's your point of view. But for me, sometimes I can't get over the situation. Let's say it's something deeper than just like the clean room, something deeper that's really going to like hurt our relationship, that I really need you to understand this, like it's a work that I need to do, actually, is what I'm noticing. That what you're saying is that that's his perspective, or whoever's perspective that you're having the issue with.
Right.
But when it's someone so close to you that you need that relationship, that in the relationship to be heard or be, understood, how can I work on that in myself? You know what I mean?
Right. So I think it comes down to you looking at for yourself, why do you so badly need the other person to see your perspective? And what if instead you were like, so for example, let's look at cleaning. Unless you have something specific you want to ask me, then we can look at that. But let's say we look at keeping the house clean. Can you look at, why do I need my husband to perceive me as someone who's always keeping things super clean? Like, why do you need that? And can you if we're using
if we're using this as an example, let's say this isn't actually the issue in my home, but let's say it's something that that he brings up, let's say it's something that he brings up so often that it's upsetting him, because he thinks I'm really, let's say it's important to him, really important to him that I keep certain things a certain way, clean. And he
Right.
thinks that now that I'm there, these things are not clean, it's because I'm undermining him, or I'm not respecting him, or I'm not honoring him. And whatever, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
Let's say it's
Right.
bigger
Right.
than just, oh, he's not seeing me for who I am. It's that because he's thinking this, now it's becoming a problem as our relationship is rocky because he's upset that he believes this. But if he would hear me out, or understand where I'm coming from, that it's not just I'm giving excuses, that it's really, no, this is really what's happening. Like, let's say I'm a mom of 3. This and this and this happened in the day, and I just couldn't get to that. I'm sorry.
Of course.
Or like things like that, that it's becoming like, okay, because he's seeing me like this, then he's thinking this, and the conclusion is making matters worse. Like, okay, what can I do on my part to have peace with, okay, even if he thinks that of me, what can I do to overcome that misunderstanding of he thinks I'm like this, to keep the peace, you know what I mean? To not feel hurt that he believes something that's not true, without like attacking him and creating more of a problem, but like approaching it in a peaceful, forgiving, loving way. You know what I mean? Because I'm so hurt about it, let's say, in this imaginary situation. I'm so hurt about it that I just can't overcome the fact that it's bothering him so much that it's becoming a problem in our relationship.
So
okay, is that enough information?
Yes, that's great information. So if I was handling something like this, I would definitely not handle it in the heat of the moment, when emotions are high and everyone's misunderstanding each other. I would walk away from that. And sometimes my husband and I have even done that. Like if we're in the middle of arguing about something and we're seeing that neither one is actually getting anywhere and it's just getting worse, so sometimes I'm like, okay, we just need to stop talking right now. Like both of us just need to stop talking. We need to move away, be kind of on our own, wherever. It could be a separate room, and then come back and discuss it. Because in the heat of the moment, sometimes the discussion is not going anywhere. You're not actually receiving the information that the other person is giving you, because both people tend to go into proving they're right. It comes back, a lot of times it comes back to the right and wrong. And at that point, when two people are trying to prove they're right, they're not actually receiving any more information from the other person. Because we get so into our heads about, no, I have to prove myself. I have to prove my point. And in that moment, it's the only thing that becomes important. It's so ridiculous. Even as I say it, I know, but we all do it. We all do it because that's how we've been conditioned. You have to be right. And because being wrong is so terrible and awful, or at least we're made to feel like it's the worst thing in the world that you are wrong. So, if we're using your example, what if you had to, what I would suggest you do is, in a non-heat of the moment, like let's say tonight, for example, you're like, listen, we are constantly facing this issue, and you are perceiving that if I don't do something you've asked me to do, you are perceiving it as I don't care or I don't love you. But you already know that that is not the case. You already know this. But when you point that out in that moment, I start fumbling and finding ways to prove to you that I do love you and care about you. But that is not something, but if that is not even true, so here I am trying to prove something that already exists. And if you are looking at, oh, she doesn't love me and care about me, that's why she's not doing it, you already know that that's a lie. So what can we do? What can we do? What can we change? What can we add to our lives? What can we remove from our lives to make this easier for both of us? How can we make this work? Because clearly this is really important to you, and that's fine. So can we change something? Can we change something in our routine? Can you maybe take something off my plate, like something small, whatever? What can we do different to make this work for both of us? So when you approach it that way, what you're doing is you're letting him know that obviously this is important, and you're acknowledging how important this is to him. That's why you're even having the discussion. But you're also now, as a couple, addressing it together. It's not a me versus you and you caring and you not caring. It's not a competition. It is, what can we do to make this work? How can we make this work? And when you approach it from this space, there is no more defending, proving, being better, being right, being wrong. It's just, okay, we have something on our hands. How do we deal with it?
Wow.
And how different is that energy? Yeah, how different is that energy? So even if I came to you and I'm like, Jenny, I'm having this issue, or, we keep running into this issue, how can we make this work?
Right.
And
not making it, and not making it about like you're saying,
it's not
like
personal
proving
then.
myself.
It's not personal. Yes. It's not personal anymore. It's just how we have a situation, and a situation that is generally, a situation in itself is not personal. We make it personal. Girl. It just is.
Yeah, that my husband actually, he mentioned that to me, because he was like, some of the differences between like his perspective and my perspective, maybe because he's a man, maybe because I'm a woman, whatever the case is that he doesn't take it, he doesn't expect me to take it personal if he tells me something. But when I tell him, look, what you said hurt me, it's like, well, why did you take it personal? And I'm like, why did I take it personal? Excuse me, you're my husband. Like, why would you wouldn't you consider that I would take it personal? Like, and it's like, no, I guess he wouldn't, And then you're right, like coming to a point where, okay, let me not take it personal. Let me just address directly the core of the issue, and let's work on that. Yeah. And then as we work on that core issue, the rest will follow. Yeah.
Right. So I'm so glad the whole personal thing has come up, and a lot of people may not agree with what I'm about to say, and that's also okay. Most of the time, like 99.9% of the time, if someone is saying and doing something, it's not personal. So let's say you're out with the kids and you come home and your husband just has a go at you for absolutely no reason. It could just be, you left the window open and now this place is so cold. Like, it could just be something so ridiculous. It is not personal. Chances are he's not there waiting to have a go at you. Chances are he has something going on in his own space. It could be he had a difficult conversation, or something happened that he was not happy about, and you became sort of that convenient target to kind of lash out at.
Okay, yeah.
It has nothing to do with
I've definitely, yeah.
And we all do it. We all do it. If we're having a difficult day, a lot of the times our spouses or our kids become kind of like that dartboard or the target board that we just lash out at, because we just, you have moments. We all have difficult moments where you just don't know what to do with that emotion. So it's not personal. The fights are not personal. The attacking, whatever, the verbal attacking is not personal. We take it personally because that's what we've been taught and we've been conditioned to believe that that's what it is, but it's not personal. And the more you can recognize that and the more you address situations from that place, the quicker and faster things change. So even for me and my husband, of course we have arguments, but sometimes I can recognize when something's going on. For instance, if I find that he's just a little more like cranky for no reason or picking on silly things, I literally just stop and I'm like, what is going on with you? Is there something bothering you right now? And me just approaching it from that way or asking that question, immediately it kind of, one, it disarms him because I'm not attacking him. I'm not like, you're being cranky and you're being ridiculous. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, what is going on with you? Is something bothering you? Or what is really bothering you? I know it's not this, stupid window, using the window as an example. And that already shifts the energy into a different conversation. And you can do that with anyone. You can do it with your mom. You can do it with your kids. Sometimes kids act up for absolutely no reason. You're like, what is going on with this kid right now? Why are they acting up so much today?
Mm-hmm.
And when you just approach them from that open space of what's going on with you? Is there something you need? They may say, oh, I'm just really tired, or I don't know, or I'm upset that this happened, or my friend said something to me. And it could be something that you're not even aware happened. But when they tell you about it, now you know.
Yeah, that's important too, because keeping communication, because we're sometimes so involved in what we're doing and they're involved in what they're doing. There's like a lack of communication, so it's like, okay, what's going on with you? Or like maybe he's not even realizing it,
exactly.
Exactly. You look like you're a little stressed out. Like, can I help you with something?
Exactly, because sometimes we don't realize we're doing it. And like it's happened with me where I realize I'm just getting really irritated. And a lot of times I'm like, okay, stop. What is really happening for me? I'm like, I am so tired. I am exhausted. And over time, I've now been able to communicate that to my husband to say, I know I'm being so irritable. I'm just really tired. So he knows now. So now no matter what comes out of my mouth and what I'm saying, he knows it's not him. I'm not having a go at him. I am just really tired and I need to get to bed. And that just makes it so much easier.
Yeah. And throughout time, like there's always going to be things that come up, like nothing's ever going to be perfect. And if we can, make like a list of like things, okay, just remember when like, your tools for ease, that's like perfect.
Yes.
Like, and especially with the whole point of view thing, sometimes even with like, I guess it's easier with like acquaintances when they like misunderstand you and then they go off like they'll never give you a chance to like correct their perspective or their thought about you. But it's like easier to just brush it off, to be like, whatever, I know why they thought that and it's fine. Like it's never gonna come up probably ever again, so it's fine. But then in a relationship like with your parents or your siblings or your partner, it's like, okay, we need to address this before it gets really hairy and then we're like, oh no, this is not going the right direction.
Right. And address it from a different space. Like, what if you never had to prove yourself ever again? What if you never had to prove who you are and what you are? So even when you have the discussion from that place of, listen, I'm just trying to address what is going on. I'm not trying to prove that I am a good person or a good mother or sister or wife. What if you just never had to prove yourself?
Okay.
Yeah. And even let's say it is. Yeah. And let's say you are someone, who's messy, for example. Let's just say you're a messy person. Can that be okay? Can it just be okay? Why is it a bad thing?
Yeah, maybe hire somebody that can help you with that thing. Maybe you're good at really good at something else, and you can focus all your energy on that other thing,
Exactly that. You nailed it. So
awesome.
The proving pulls you out of this is right and this is wrong. Again, coming out of that right and wrong idea. You're just like, this is just who I am. I'm not trying to be difficult. It's not that I'm trying to, purposefully make a mess. It just happens. And what can
Wow.
I do to change it?
Yeah, or I
And
have
that's it.
3 children and I can't handle the amount of mess with the
Yeah,
other chores that I have to do.
yeah,
So I
yeah,
I really do need somebody to come help
yes,
me because I don't have
yeah,
family here. I don't have
yeah,
friends, that'll just
exactly
show
that.
up and give me time.
Yeah,
So,
exactly that.
mm,
Exactly that. And how much easier is that then to say, okay, now we recognize what is required, which has nothing to do with you as a person. We recognize that we require some help. How can we get this help? And
yeah,
that's it.
wow. So much
And
food
then
for
it's not
thought,
even
Kiran.
emotional. Yeah. And then it's not even emotional anymore. There's nothing to be emotional about.
Yeah, that's the thing is that when in the, like you said, not to even in the heat of the moment just walk away or just don't even
Yeah.
address it until
Mm-hmm.
that emotional piece. And even my husband has told me this. He's like, I can't hear you when you're being emotional because all he
Yeah.
hears is me blaming him. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I'm not trying to blame you. I'm trying to say, but it's like you
Yeah.
said, when they hear you this and you that, they all they
Yeah.
hear is you're blaming me for something that you're being emotional about. And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, he's like, you can't approach me when you're being emotional. Like
Yeah.
I just can't handle that. Like that's
Yeah.
honestly him. And if we're being
Mm-hmm.
honestly each other, if that's
Mm-hmm.
honestly him, then I have to respect that and be like, okay, so now you've given me food for thought because now I'm like, okay, how
Mm-hmm.
can I approach him
Yeah.
non-emotional, not taking it personal, and addressing the issue at hand without
Right.
that that baggage, I guess.
Right. And, the next time you're in a tough situation, you can articulate it. You can say, I'm feeling very emotional right now. And I know that we can't have a proper discussion, like a productive discussion, I guess, or whatever, a proper
Hmm.
discussion. I'm going to go take 30 minutes to, get into a better space or an hour, whatever, and I will come back to it. So what you're doing is you're also communicating that you're not just dropping it, like you're not just disregarding it, but you are
Hmm.
communicating what you are doing. So you're saying, yes, we will look at this, but not at this very moment. And I need an hour so that we can look at it properly. A lot
Yeah,
of
that's
people, they kind of
perfect.
just walk away. Yeah, a lot of people just walk away and the person's going, excuse me, like we're trying to handle something here and you just left. But
Yeah.
which,
Instead of
yeah,
just
leads to more
walking away,
problems.
be like, yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
disrespectful, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, great. Now I added to the list of things instead of
exactly.
helping, I made it
Exactly.
worse because I'm being emotional. Instead of
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, look, I'm being emotional. Just give me an hour.
yeah,
I'll
yeah.
be less emotional.
Right. Because you feeling the way you're feeling, you being emotional is not wrong. But of
Yeah,
course, in
yeah,
that moment, if
exactly.
someone is saying, oh, you're being emotional, automatically we go into, oh my God, you're saying I'm bad and wrong for feeling emotional
Again, exactly.
again. But it's just different. We just handle things differently. So you get to give yourself 30 minutes to an hour to be as emotional as you want to be.
Hmm.
And when you're done, or when you can think clearly, then you can go handle it. Try it.
Yeah, I am definitely because that
Yeah.
situation, which I'm not addressing in
Yeah.
detail, not
Yeah.
anything to
Yeah.
do with cleaning, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
it was like an eye opener for both of
Yeah.
us of like,
Yeah.
okay, we need to address each other
Yes.
differently
Yes.
because this
Yes.
is not working. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's why I definitely had to have you on here to talk about it because
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's way different talking to a friend that I know you personally and
Yes.
we've talked about hard things already in face to
Yes.
face personally.
Yes.
And
Yes.
so I feel way more comfortable talking to you and hearing your insight like wow, I'm always wowed by you. I'm so grateful for you,
Thank
Kiran.
you,
I
Jenny.
hope you know that.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. And I hope this helps, you and
Yeah.
this is a good reminder for me because of course, I face so many different or similar situations in my own life. And I hope it's a contribution to whoever listens to this in the future as well.
Yeah. Do you have any like last thing that you want to tell people that maybe are feeling misunderstood?
I really would highly recommend listening to this to episode 2
Yeah, actually, right?
because yes, because those are basic tools, and I know we talked about the tools in terms of creating ease, but those tools really help to come out of that judgment. It's the judgment that gets us. So even the need to prove ourselves comes from, oh, I don't want to be judged as wrong, or I
Mm,
want to be judged as right.
mm.
So it's again, just go back to basics. The more you go back to basics, the easier it is to build upon that.
So right. Thank you so much, Kiran. Can you just remind
No
us again
problem.
your Instagram and your website?
Yes, so my website is kiranmenezes.com and my Instagram is Kiran M. Menezes. Oh, there is no .com. It's just Instagram. So yes, the handle is at Kiran M. Menezes. And as always, I say this on Instagram and I'll say this here too. If anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'm always happy to have a chat. I'm always happy to share information. Um, so yeah, just reach out. However you want to reach out, just feel free to
I
reach
can vouch for Kiran. Oh my goodness. If there's anybody to reach out to, please reach out to her.
out.
She has been a lifeline for me. Like you don't even know. I'm so happy to get to share our conversations because
Yes,
they're just it's just so valuable. So thank
yes.
you. God bless you and have a blessed
You
day,
too.
girl.
You too. Bye.
Thanks for listening in. Be sure to hit subscribe and visit heavenlytreasure.net for more. See you on IG at Heavenly Treasure Living. Till next time, blessings and remember to be the salt of the earth.